And welcome back to the Market Wolf, where I give you the best bear case, the best bull case, and I give you my opinion. You can see that we are on the monthly chart for the US dollar. And why is the US dollar important? Well, the US dollar is important because it tells us what's going to be happening in Bitcoin and also on the S&P 500. And that has a lot of implications for so many other stocks. So this is why it's important you pay attention to the US dollar. And right now you can see on the monthly time frame on the US dollar, we are sitting on basically a giant bear flag. We've been in a small consolidation phase here. We've had some upside, but if you look at the momentum, we're beginning to move to the downside. If you look at the RSI, do we have room to move up? Yes, obviously on the monthly we do. The question is, do we get a bounce down off of that moving average? And based on the MACD, it looks like we might. We're also sitting on this bear flag. And of course, the overall case is that the dollar is going to go down. So that's your bear case for the dollar. What's the bull case for the dollar? Well, the bull case, of course, is that you could come up and complete a small cup at around the 105.933, or you could even get more bullish, get crazy bullish on the dollar, and head all the way back up roughly to maybe 113, 178 in that range. Now, of course, the problem here is with the bull case, we really need to see something that gives us a sign that there is some kind of trend reversal beginning on the dollar. And we may not necessarily see that on the higher time frames, although we can say that certainly it does have the 20-day moving average on the monthly time frame, and the EMA lines are all supporting it properly. So that would be your bull case there. There could be a reversal building. So let's take a look at the 2 hour and see if we see any sign at all of confirmation of reversal. EMA looks good. RSI needs to step up. Really, our MACD is going to 2 hour time frame. We can see that the MACD is actually beginning to trend down. The RSI hasn't been rejected yet. It could come back up and then get rejected if, so momentum is to the downside even on the 2 hour. However, we are supported by all of the moving averages and they are in proper order. So that would definitely be a bull case. There is some bullish case here to be made for the dollar in the lower time frames. The question is do we cycle back up on that MACD? Do we get some more volume coming in? Do we put in what it potentially would amount to a bounce at the 102.441? Or do we slide all the way back down very easily to the 102.140 and then back into some kind of consolidation phase between there and the 101.836, or perhaps lower? Right now, the higher time frames still seem to have the bear case, so that's my opinion now for the dollar. Although, this bullish divergence that we've been on can't be completely ignored. We are back inside this ascending channel, and I think it's at least possible on a bull case that we could consolidate nicely there and head back to at least I would say the 103.406. And again, of course, if you got really bullish, we'd have to look at the data and see what happens, but you could end up at 105.443, somewhere chopping around that range, and the 105.884. So keeping that in mind, let's take a look at the S&P 500. So generally there, my opinion is, of course, in the long term, the dollar is coming down, and that should also mean that the S&P 500 should begin to move up as people try and find a flight to safety. You can see that we've been consolidating in between the 410.10 and where we stand now on the 2 hour on the S&P 500 at about 413.22. And as it stands right now, we are looking we're looking okay. We're looking at an okay consolidation phase right here on the 2 hour right now. We're supported, looks good. Let's take a look at the 1 day time. It's basically been a decent consolidation phase here. Even on the daily, we have all of the proper, everything's lined up. So you can see just in this consolidation phase that we've been in that the dollar and the S&P 500 are both consolidating right now, and it's a matter of which one is going to break out. Of course, we've been kind of riding the top side of this very large symmetrical triangle we've been inside in on the S&P 500, so we're basically riding the top side of that green line right there, and this has been a consolidation phase we've been in for a long time. The market really needs buyers to step in, and on the volume right now on the daily time frame, that does not look great. Although you do have to keep in mind that this is a consolidation phase and momentum is not extreme. So the real question is the RSI going to pierce through that moving average and get support? Or are we going to get some support and some good volume coming in? We'll have to see. Let's take a look in the lower time frames and see if we see any sign of that reversal coming in, maybe on the 30-minute. And volume on this consolidation does not look awful on the 30-minute at all. We might have a little downside to go, but ultimately it looks like we could be consolidating for a move up. You could expect a move down as a rejection, possibly back down to the 410.10 or the 409.13. But ultimately right now, the way it stands at this moment, it looks like it wants to kind of consolidate and perhaps continue up. Now, if buyers don't step in soon, if we get another rejection off of there that's a hard rejection, maybe down to the 403.87 or even lower, then you have to start to wonder if buyers are going to step back in. And at that point, if the market begins to sell, because remember, we are in a consolidation phase here. Now, that could really be what drives the dollar, of course, back up. And so right now, I'm not sure if the market depends so much on the dollar, and so much as what the dollar does depends on what the S&P 500 does at this point. Do people have confidence in this market? That's the question. Can we continue higher off of this consolidation phase? I want to take a look at the 4 hour, because I think on the 4 hour we start to get a little bit of a sign that maybe we could even become more bullish here. When you look at the 4 hour, it kind of gives a different picture as far as volume goes. We do have, in this consolidation phase, we have had good volume coming in, and you can't ignore that on the 4 hour. We're taking off on the RSI. We've beaten out the moving average. It looks like we want to start to flip on the MACD potentially to the upside. So my case would be, I believe that, so you've got the bear case I've given you, you've got the bull case there, and I think honestly we could come back up to maybe around the 415.86, somewhere in there. You could even see us top out at the 417.60. The question is, that's what I expect to see. Now the question is, do we hold? And that's what we have to pay attention to. We need to get topside of that 418.12 level and consolidate there like we have here on these higher time frames, where we just see, like, we don't see a whole lot of exiting volume, and we see confidence coming back and people staying in the market. So that's what I'm feeling. That's what I'm thinking. Let's take a look at the Bitcoin. Of course, I was right on that move 2 days ago, 3 days ago now. If you paid attention to the last video, I told you we were going to have a huge move down. we did break. We did have that huge move down, and really, if you look, this is just a very large head and shoulders pattern, especially if you go to the daily time frame or the weekly time frame. You can see that a little bit clearer. And on the daily time frame right now, we are sandwiched between the 20 and the 50 and the 200 and the 100. Exiting a lot of exiting volume on the daily. MACD to the downside, although it's trying to get a little bit bullish right now. We have had a candle there that really looks like we want to push up, that we're finished with this consolidation phase. And so the bear case is you're getting sandwiched, momentum doesn't look good, and definitely volume looks terrible. The bull case here is it looks like we're trying to put in some kind of reversal. Perhaps we could see like a W reversal where we come up to maybe about the 28.121, come back down to the 26.540 or even the 25.254, and then head all the way back up and complete a cup at around the 35.47. Now, of course, the W doesn't have to look that way. It can look any number of ways. It could just be a solid W where we don't even have like much of a, like maybe we get rejected at the 27.710, back test the 26.540, and then just continue up from there and pierce through the 20-day and the 50-day very easily. Take that back and complete a cup at roughly maybe the 31.036. So that's something to pay attention to there on the daily. The daily time frame does not look terrible on Bitcoin. Let's take a look at the overall picture though at this head and shoulders pattern, because it sure looks like it wants to come down on that head and shoulders pattern. And you can see on the monthly, really, honestly, that the consolidation on the monthly isn't terrible. It isn't terrible. The range is bad, but you look at generally the momentum is winding down. We're top side on the RSI. We're about average as well, and so we have room to move up. We're under the 20-day, which is not good. We need to reclaim that 20-day on the monthly. But the exiting volume right now isn't terrible either, and momentum may be trying to make a break to the upside. So, of course, your longer-term bear case here is that this is a head and shoulder pattern that's being put in here, and you're probably on your way back down at least to the 26.540, and maybe all the way down to that general support there, which is also around where we find that 100-day moving average. So perhaps maybe around the 17422, so 17,422. You could put in a bounce there. We go with that bear case, but right now it seems like the consolidation phase we've been in is not terrible, and we could have further moves to the upside. The next cup we would complete would be at about the 31.696, and then we would have to see about our consolidation from there. So that's that big level we're looking to get on top of. We've been looking for that for quite a while now. Of course, we still have some other levels to get through before we get there, but I would expect once this consolidation phase is over, a fairly quick move up to that level, because really I think we've determined on the monthly here that this is where we want to be if it manages to hold. I want to take you back down to the daily, because I want to look at the flip side on this as far as the bear case does go, because boy, it really does look like it wants to complete that head and shoulders pattern, doesn't it, and just come all the way back down to that level. Now, if we look back here initially, when the banking crisis is going on, you can see that in early March, you're getting a lot of exiting volume. People are very worried. You've got this M-topping reversal. But you generally get support in this order block right here at roughly the 2037.5. And then you can see all this money floods back into the market. And why does that happen? Well, I believe there's a lot of people moving their money out of these banks, moving money around, trying to find places where they believe their money is going to be safe, and Bitcoin happens to be one of those places. And the fact that we've been on this very tight consolidation phase here on the daily time frame makes me believe it's possible the bull case could play out despite the fact that we're being sandwiched between those moving averages. So right now it's a moment of indecision for Bitcoin, but certainly keep in mind that if we see more bank failures, we may see an initial move down, right? So you could get a down move to the 24,040, find support there, and then just really take off like we did here as people are trying to find places to put their money. So that's the bear case, that's the bull case. That's what I'm next time on the Market Wolf.